A very good afternoon to everyone. I'm Alan Goh, Associate Professor, and I'm with Hambridge Institute in Singapore as the principal, and I'm also the Associate Professor of my parent company, which is Teaching University. And I'm also an entrepreneur. I have my own training and consulting company in education called Rise Education Management. Today, I'm going to talk about critical thinking as part of transformation leaderships. This is a small introduction of me, myself, and the program that I do. And critical thinking is a component of the transformation leadership programs that I hope that I could work with VMP Academy in Vietnam in the future. Now, I know this is going to be a quick, short few-hour sessions, and I hope that everybody will enjoy the sessions. It's a Friday. And at the same time, because of the amount of students that is currently participating, I want to apologize if I cannot take all the questions at this point of time, but do email VMP Academy if you have any questions that you want to further ask me. And I hope that I can reply to you in one way or another. Thank you so much. Critical thinking, all right. A little about myself. I come from the background of my education, come from background of marketing and advertising. And I have a master's degree from Ethical University from Australia, and major in international business. And my bachelor degree is in advertising and business from University of Oklahoma. I have a couple of training certificates from the Singapore Institute of Adult Learning. We call it WSQ, Advanced Certificate Diploma. And I'm currently also pursuing my own diploma in adult and continuous education. Largely my corporate world, I worked in corporate world for a couple of years, and I had worked largely in startups, meeting, incentive, conferencing, exhibitions, technology, financial services, and a large part of my last probably 15 years of my career is actually in education. I've also founded my own companies from 1999 to 2009. And further on, I joined the education sector starting from 2010, and I've never turned back. I love training, and I love to inculcate knowledge and skills, especially to adults and young professionals who want to upgrade themselves. And it is highly important that today, as we move into the world of digitalization, in the world of Industry 4, a lot of us will start having to gain a lot more skills, especially in the way we think, to transform ourselves. So I hope that through this short program, I can inculcate to you a little bit of understanding of what critical thinking is all about. And hopefully you'll enjoy the sessions with me. At this point, I would like to check that if everybody can hear me. If can, maybe we can have some sign of, some of you can say something on the chat. If all, great. Thank you.
We can hear well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, I'll continue. Okay, critical thinking. So I'm going to discuss, at least for the first part, before we take a short break in the middle, on understanding what is critical thinking and how it affects in terms of the transformation leadership's perspective. All right. Now we know that critical thinking, right? In short, sometimes we see ourselves very important as it has to be self-directed, and it is a form of self-corrective thinking process. All right. Critical thinking requires us really to look at ourselves in terms of how we think and how we take information from everywhere and make a meaningful understanding of it. And at the end of the day, all right, as a leader, to able to offer problem-solving solutions, all right, and then, of course, to commit those solutions over a period of time, all right. It is a highly required skills in today. Now, if you were to look at different universities around the world, a key aspect of what they want to teach the students now is really how to think more critically. Now, the days of education or training where it's downloaded and we as a student take it information is going away if it's not gone now, right? So it's very important that as we learn after our school, after our universities, that we continue to be able to learn. And in that process of the learning journey, the critical thinking itself is extremely important. But critical thinking calls for persistent effort, all right, to examine, all right, any belief, all right, that's supposed, to form a form of knowledge, all right, not just anyhow think, but really to base everything a lot on evidences to support it and hopefully to come out with a conclusion. Now, transformation leader, let's do a little bit of theory understanding, the evolutions of leadership. Now, because this topic is really about critical thinking in association to the transformation leadership, we need to understand a little bit of evolutions of how leadership comes about. For some of you who have attended maybe universities or courses on leadership, you probably understand some of these theories has been shared by your trainer or your professors, right, as you learn. Now, we all know something like called the great man theory or the triads theory, all right. The great man theory and the triads theory is really looking at people, all right, who believe they are born leaders. Though there's a little bit of old thinking, all right. Years, centuries ago, a lot of people think that, they are a leader because God has given them the gift to be a leader. They are born to be a leader. And leadership becomes very top-down, very autocratic, very directed way of managing people. So we have lords and we have people reporting or respecting them because they are born, right? Now, we know that today, this is no longer the truth. Now, there's also a debate of whether, are some of the leaders in this world has been born with the characteristics or the traits, that means in their genes, all right? In their genes that they have certain characteristics that make them a leader, all right? And some of this concept is about, an introvert person or an extrovert person is a little bit more able to lead than an introvert, quiet person, which of course today we know is not true. All right, or you are born in a high caste family or high level, high society family, and therefore you have the power, and that's why you are seen as a leader. So we know all this in today's world is no longer very applicable. So as time passes, as human evolve, as business evolve, as civilization evolve, today we kind of look at something what we call the situation leaderships or participative leaderships. Now, this is a lot of what the new world, new centuries of leaderships is evolved around. All right, the philosophy of modern thinking of leadership is really how can the leader react to situation conditions. How do they take a certain situation, for example, the COVID-19, and able to overcome it, all right, with various forms of organization structure, various forms of skills, management skills, various forms of leadership potential skills, all right, that we have been learning through many of our institutions and also, from our bosses and our supervisors and so on and so forth. So we are reacting to situations, all right, and it began to show that, as we move along in managing people, people needs people, all right. We by now know that we cannot just work alone, all right, and we need people to participate, to help us to solve problems. We need people of different talents to come together so that we can solve a situation. So the understanding of delegating, supporting one another, coaching, directing becomes a new modern way of how a lot of institutions and a lot of schools are teaching about leaderships. Can you delegate well? All right. Who to delegate to? All right. What kind of people you should delegate to? Now, as managers, as leaders, all right, how do we support our team? How do we collaborate with our people? Now, as a key person in organizations, are you able to coach your people to do well? What about your succession planning? How about organizations moving forward? How do you replace people, all right, with more talent, with more capabilities, and of course, directing solutions, directing the organization's growth? So this becomes the key aspects of the modern organization, if I may say. Now, and such understanding of leadership has gone for a long, long time. All right. Forward to today. All right. In the last 2 years alone, since the COVID-19, all right, the word transformational, or the words like pivoting, words like new normal, has gained tremendous speed in today's world. It's never, managers and leaders, bosses, entrepreneurs has never faced a situation like that. At least for myself, in the 56 years that I'm alive, all right, I faced at least 5 to 6 recessions in my career. Now, this situation of COVID-19 is one of the most difficult. It challenges a lot of leaders to think beyond what is norm of delegating, supporting, coaching, and directing. Even they're beyond to give and able to do it very well as a situation leader or participating leadership context. All right, many of the bosses and business owners have actually given up. Why? Because they have not trained themselves to transform. So transformation leadership, again, is not new. It's been spoken and debated, has been researched for many, many years. It's just the human being has no reason to really to pick it up fast enough. All right. So it's critical thinking. Critical thinking has been spoken, has been shared, since the time I joined the education industry at least 15 years ago. We have always been telling our students to critical think. You need to write more critically. You need to research. You need to find ways and means to debate, to look at things in a different angle. You need to apply a lot of thinking skill into the context. All right. It's been pitched, has been shared for a long time, but human beings has taken a slow steps towards it. So never more than today, transform leadership becomes very, very important. All right, so what is really transform leadership? Simply said, is can you inspire people, your followers, and to work with them for greater common vision? Again, we have been in business for a very long time. Companies has vision. We ask ourselves, we need the vision. We need to follow the organization's vision. All right, because, all right, even more so in non-COVID days, vision has always been a key aspect of many organizations. Organizations who believe in a certain vision are very focused. But where the problem comes at is the people not be able to execute and meet the vision of the organizations. This is the problem. And where the problem lies, of course, there are many other areas, but critical thinking is one area that many, many bosses and many, many leaders are facing a problem among the people they work. All right, because without understanding of critical thinking, all right, we really cannot recognize the problems and the solutions that is urgently needed to achieve the common vision. All right, it requires people to look at existence and non-existent evidences, form logical relationships around these propositions, all right, so that you can warrant a common workable conclusion, all right, in order to solve a problem. So more so than today, all right, we have to start looking at critical thinking more critically because we have to transform and we need to transform today. Post-COVID-19 will be a very different world. And I'm sure all the participants here today understand it. The digitalization of Industry 4 requires us today to be transformational leaders. Now, we are not going to throw away our situation leaderships and our participatory leaderships, because these continue to form a very important aspect of leadership. But transformation leadership is a very different animals and very different concept altogether. And if I may say so, not every leader can be transformational. It's very, very difficult to be a transformation leader. It is not too difficult to be a participative leader or a situation leader, but it's very difficult, right, to become a transformation leader. So today, I hope I can give a little bit of sharing to how to become more transformational by using the concept of critical thinking. So what is critical thinking? What is critical thinking? All right. I would like some of you now, all right, to take a little time, 2 to 3 minutes, and think, what is critical thinking to you? Maybe if you are okay, we can have some chat, you know, very quickly, type something there. Anything comes straight into your mind. All right, what do you think is critical thinking? What is critical? When we think as a human being, we think. If we can't think, we're not human. We know we think, but what really is critical thinking to you? If I can get some people to just participate and type on the chat, and then, you know, we can go along with some of the ideas that the audience has typed.
Can we talk?
Yeah, can. It's either you talk or you can type. I'm okay.
Okay. I think that this term critical thinking is very common to everybody, but you know, for us, a clear definition for critical thinking is not. I think it's not very clearly for everyone. For me, critical thinking is that we think in many angles, and we think about the history and also the future. Yeah, and we think about the impacts and other factors for one problem. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Kim, can I call you Kim?
Phương.
Phương. Okay. Thank you so much. Yes, you know, it is really about thinking differently. It's really about how important it is to have the depth and the breadth of thinking, you know, when it comes to the working world, and not just the working world, it's also your personal life sometimes, you know, and this is the aspects that we are trying to explore. And in the chat group, I've seen many. I see people that it's connection between ideas, it's logical between ideas. It's about clear rationale, understanding logical between ideas. You know, to look at different sides of things, different perspective of things. Thank you so much for participating. You know, catching up information, and, you know, getting information as much as possible. Yes. Right. And some said that. It's about understanding at the end the original problem, the root of the problem. Yeah, that's very important. You know, many of us don't think too deep enough. The problem surface, but we are asking ourselves, why? Can we solve it right at the root? That is very important. Thank you so much. You know, and this is really, I mean, a lot of us have said correctly in terms of this short group. So I a while back, you know, I did an exercise with another group in Singapore, and these are some of the things they type. They say achieve better results, objective, right? Drastic, but correct. It has to be, you know, you need to evaluate. You need a lot of resources. You know, it's about problem solving. It's about logic. It's about solutions. It's about tactics. It's about deep thinking. It's about issues, forward thinking, analyzing, decisiveness, out of box, risk analysis, being decisive, thinking wider, value creation, analyzing. So many. You know, now then why? If everyone else understand what critical thinking is all about, why is it so difficult? Why is it so difficult? Okay, hopefully by the end of these sessions, we will come to a conclusion why it is. So stay tuned, don't go away. All right. So all of you are not wrong. All right, critical thinking is everything that you have said, everything that you feel is correct. Yeah, what you say is correct. But we have to solidify and consolidate this concept of critical thinking into very simple terms so that we can apply it in the organization context. In the organization, we must have some kind of formula. All right, you will get my formula at the end of this 3-hour session. All right. So in conclusion, in this context of this short exercise, okay, we know in general, all right, critical thinking ultimately leads to some form of understanding of things better, lead to some form of solution to solve things. All right. Let me share with you some quote of very traditional leaders to today's people that we know are leaders in the business world. Jack Welch, chairman and CEO of General Electric. Now, he has retired long ago. He's about 80 over years old now. When he was the CEO of General Electric, back then, was appointed. All right, he actually turned General Electric with a growth of 4,000%. Not 100%, not 200%, it's 4,000% by changing his organization and streamlining a lot of things in organizations. He said, before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. Very important. You need to learn. You need to continue to learn while you are working, while you are experiencing your business world. Now, when you become a leader, when you reach that stage, then it's really about growing others. Okay? So this is important because a lot of leaders, they are selfish. They're afraid that people will take over them. They'll lose their job. All right? But they didn't forget that as they grow, they need people to help them to grow. And if the people reporting to them continuously don't critical think, continuously don't improve themselves, he cannot have a team of people to help him to grow further. So it makes a lot of sense. Number two, Peter Drucker, of course, most of you probably heard about him. Now, he's a management guru. In fact, he coined the word knowledge worker. All right, and many of us who study management will have studied his journals or read his book. Okay, he said that leadership is lifting a person's vision to high heights, the raising of a person's performance to higher standard, the building of a personality beyond its normal limitations. So he's saying that skies is the limit. You've got to drive and drive and drive, and it can be done. All right. So the third person I want to share is, of course, none other than Bill Gates. All right. He says, as we look ahead into the next century, leaders will be those who empower others. Now, this is a very powerful quotation. How do you empower others if the people you are going to empower cannot think? Do you dare to empower them? I would not. I don't know about you. That is why sometimes in organizations, you find that a lot of bosses, a lot of supervisors, a lot of managing directors, a lot of CEOs, a lot of people are having a big headache because they cannot find people they can empower. Not because they don't want to empower, it's because they're afraid to empower, because they cannot find good enough people who can think well, get the right evidence, and come out with a solution that makes sense for organizations. They cannot find, or very hard to find. All right. Many organizations, and unfortunately, it's the big boys and the big ones that are able to have a lot of in-house training program, management training, a concept that tries to identify talent, all right, so that they can continue to upgrade these people and empower them with more authorities to run the organizations, right? So you want to empower people, those people you empower must be able to think. It's a very basic logic concept. As we come nearer to this part of the century, every time CEO of Grab, Anthony Tan said, every time we didn't agree on something, we will say, okay, let's go back to the principles, go back to the values, and that makes things converge. Go back to the vision, go back to thinking, what is all this thing all about that need to make Grab big? And we know Grab is going to be big. In fact, today's Forbes listing of Singapore 10 richest men, all right, Anthony Tan has made one of the top 20 richest men in Singapore. And he started new ideas. He just started a very simple idea of a taxi company that he doesn't own taxi. But of course, today Grab is more than just a cab sharing application, you know. But he believes, you know, he says that when he runs business, and if things are not aligned with everyone, okay, they go back to the fundamental and think, the principles, go back to the value and think what is wrong so that we can make things more aligned. All right. And finally, I'll share with TikTok CEO, Zhang Yiming. With our business growing well, it is time to think about how we can not simply scale, but make innovative, meaningful, long-term progress towards our mission to inspire creativity and rich life. Goes back to thinking again, creating, getting more things, making things a little bit more fun so that they can grow the business. Right? Business is not to be stagnant. You will continue need to innovate. All right, and if you know, when I'm teaching about innovations in some of my classes, you know, we cannot let the product life cycle be in decline. When I attend school, my professor tells me the product life cycle is a bell curve. The entrance, the product grows to mature, and then it will come down. It will come down, right? This is typical product life cycle. It will come down, all right? We can't allow it to do that today, all right? When it comes to maturity, we have to go up again, all right? It's called innovation. Now, this is the reason why when companies do not innovate, they don't have enough people to think, what will happen? It comes down, right? So we cannot do that. We cannot allow a company to do that. And the only way we don't allow a company to do that is we continue to have enough people in the organization who can think well, think critically, so that they continue to keep the business in an upward trend. All right. So it is extremely important when we look at such things. All right. So what does it mean? You know, if I can translate it, you know, in a more simple term. Okay, I'm trying to move my picture because, sorry. All right. So what does all these people mean? Now, in conclusion, it's about developing succession. Doing people for succession. A company can only grow when you continue people to take over. Judge Wells has retired. He has to find somebody to take over. And General Electric today is still one of the biggest organizations in the world. All right. Peter Drucker says, develop knowledge workers. Now, he has invented this probably 30, 40 years ago when he wrote the book. All right. And today, knowledge workers are even more important. Knowledge is the word. Knowledge worker. What does it mean? Knowledge workers is not about you join an organization and the company tells you your job is A, B, C, D, E. You just do that. Now, if you continue to think like that, you'll never grow. All right, you'll never grow. You need to gain more ideas. You need to gain more skills to be a knowledge worker, to make your A, B, C, D, E even better. All right. Empower and trust your employees. Today's leaders have to do that. Now, many traditional businesses, especially in our Asian context, we are afraid to give people power. We want to control power. It's very weird. When we control power, right, people, they're not to execute, they're not to think big, they're not to think more. All right. So you have to trust your people. Focus on visions and values. All right. A company without vision is like a chicken running around, you know, a headless chicken. Right? They cannot find where they are going. Vision needs to be focused. Right? And it needs a lot of critical thinking to come up with different ways to continue to make sure your vision is aligned. All right. And of course, value creations. The business today has to create value and innovation. These are keywords today, and in looking towards transformation, these are the ways that we need to go. So thinking, critical thinking in these quotations that I shared is really about growth orientation. If your organization want to grow, if you want to grow, all right, everything you think is the context of growth orientation. All right. So critical thinking is what? Critical thinking is a skill that enables leaders to understand the impact of their decisions on the business as a whole and ensures both alignment. The key word here is very important, alignment with organization goals and the word here, accountability. Now, if you want to be a leader, a transformation leader, and you don't want to be accountable, please don't be a leader. Because from my perspective, you are not a leader. A leader has to take responsibility and has to dare to take accountability. All right. So it's very important, all right, that we know that. And of course, particularly today in the new normal under COVID-19 situations, all right, you will see more and more capable leaders who truly are transformation leader will start standing out. And I have a feeling, the world of tomorrow after COVID-19, you'll see very significant, very strong leader emerging out of this whole COVID-19 situation, much more than we have seen in the past few centuries. So it's all about organizations' constructive alignment from the very beginning to the very end. All right. How do you construct it one-to-one such it's aligned totally and reaching your vision? That is key. And that is what critical thinking plays a big role in the transformation process. All right. However, of course, I must also say that no one is a critical thinker 100% true and true. All right. But only to such a degree, with such insights and blind spots, is subject to tendency towards self-delusions. Okay, so it's important to look at this, okay, and develop thinking skills so that it's a lifelong endeavor. Okay, not all of us can be very good critical thinker, but we need to have some elements of critical thinking in the future of what we do. In fact, we actually are all born critical thinkers. It's just that we don't really apply it more in depth and in breadth in the context. Every day we critical think. All right. For example, some of you may say, I want to attend this workshop, critical thinking. Should I attend or not? Is it worth attending or not? Blah, blah, blah. So you get thinking. Also, we actually think, but whether is it critical enough is subjective. Some people will say, wow, I saw this workshop, interesting. I registered straight away. Some of you will say, okay, who is conducting? Who is Alan Go? Maybe you're going to do online research about Alan Go. All right. Some of you may call VMP, and ask. So we approach thinking in a very, very different way, but we all can be critical thinker. It's just, do we want to exercise it? And if we want to be transformation leader, that is the leader of leader, all right, then we have to use critical thinking much more in the way we manage ourselves and the way we manage our organizations or our job. Okay. Well, this research clearly shows by McKinsey, right, clearly shows that critical thinking is not new, and it is something that is really wanted into this. This is a research that's concluded in December 2020, so it's very new research. Okay, in this research, McKinsey & Company looks at companies, looking at different aspects of skills. All right, so they concluded that companies are increasingly focused on developing social, emotional, and advanced cognitive skills. Now, social and emotional. When we think, we cannot avoid not having emotional or social influence, okay, in the way we think. But we must be able to dissect, we must be able to define, we must be able to contain, all right, our social and emotional aspects. So they are looking at some of these advanced cognitive skills in this research. Skills that company prioritize address through reskilling. Okay, the key word here is reskill. What it's trying to say here is that whatever we learned in the past, okay, it expires. My MBA, I had it when I was 43 years old. Today has expired. Now, if I do not continue to upgrade myself, if I not continue to learn and take up courses, all right, and read up more things and continue to look at things and research things, okay, I'm going to lose my skill. It becomes absolutely obsolete. It doesn't apply anymore. So reskilling is something that we have to continue to do. Okay. So what are the areas they look at? So, right, you look at leadership, managing others, right? Key companies are saying we are not having good enough leader. And I'm sure they're looking at transformational leaders. All right. Okay. Second, guess what? Critical thinking and decision making. Wow. You know, this is so aligned to what we are talking about today. The second most important aspect of what company is looking for is people who can critically think and make good decisions. And subsequently, project management, adaptability, continuous learning. We talk about lifelong learning here. All right. Digital skills, we know, you know, it takes me, I don't know, about a month to learn how to use Zoom effectively. All right. Now, I am in the education industry. I have colleagues, I have friends who are so afraid of technology that today losing job because no company, no training company or schools will employ them if they don't know how to use an online Zoom, similar kind of software to conduct training. And not only conduct it using the technology, must be able to conduct it effectively and interesting enough. Do you know how difficult it is to do a training like this with so many people and still need to make it interesting? It's a reskilling process. All right, it's no longer, you know, talking about PowerPoint that you can do in class. It's very difficult to mimic those live sessions, but we have to start learning, or at least I have to start learning, right, how to do it better. All right. So we talk about interpersonal skill, empathy, data, math skill, quantitative skill, statistical skill, and so on and so forth, IT skills. But key here today, I want to, I guess, look at it, right? All right. All right. Is, of course, critical and decision thinking. So even companies like McKinsey, which is one of the world's most renowned research and marketing consulting firm, have identified, and this is through their research, all right, that critical thinking and decision making is what is really very critical in transformation and to get good leaders. Okay, so how do we then learn critical thinking? Can we, as Asian leaders? Now, I derive a model, all right, and I practice it, and I share with my companies, and when I do consulting work, I ask people to look at it. Never look at what you do before as something that's bygone. All right, you need to gain and identify those knowledge and skills that you have learned while you are managing something now or before. Identify. Look at things that is new. Look at things that's interesting. It can be a project, it can be a concept, it may be from a networking or a communication with people. You need to identify those learning. Some of them are new. We're working on the projects. you realize that you don't have this skill. Or working on a project, you realize you lack this understanding. Or working on something, you lack things, all right? So therefore, you need to be able to identify some form of personal development plan to help yourself to reskill and upskill, all right? One aspect of it is really, how do you come up with a systematic way to gain your competency level and relevancy level in the world, all right? Translate that to some form of learning. Hopefully, your organizations will be able to support it. We call it organization explicit learning activities. All right, it can be, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, peer feedback, knowledge and skill sharing. We do it many times. After a project, we do debrief. You learn things, you debate over things. It helps you to think. It helps you to critical think on things. Of course, team building, team bonding, business case reviews, take out failures, take out success stories, share. How can you all do better? Challenge your staff, challenge yourself to think through, through business presentations. Of course, external training like this, will help you to grow as you go. Now, of course, today we can access from all kinds of ways to learn. Blended learning, applied learning, e-learning, peer and executive coaching, assessment sometimes. Some of those online courses or even courses that will also have assessment at the end of the day to test your ability and even gain those knowledge. So you can help yourself to learn more. As you learn more, your knowledge will expand. And when your knowledge expands, you will be able to take a lot more informations, informed informations, to be able to critically think, right, to transform yourself. All right. This will then hopefully be applied to your future work and future collaboration. And as you move into future work and collaboration, you will start acquiring new knowledge again. And the cycle goes. All right. So it's extremely important, all right, to be able to form this as part of your upskilling and reskilling understanding as you go along. So what we are looking here is really a learning journey that never stops. Of course, until the day you retire. And we all hope that we can retire, all right? But it's a learning journey. Even after you retire, you probably also want to continue to learn, all right? So this is an aspect of what we are looking at today. And I recommend it to people, to organizations, that you need to have a form of continuous learning where you treat your workplace is also a school where your staff, your colleagues, and everyone can continue to learn and upgrade themselves. Because the more you know, the more you have the knowledge, the more you have the information, and the more you have those, you can use it to apply in critical thinking. All right? Okay. All right, I have spoken quite a while. So I want to kind of take a little bit of a short break here. Maybe we'll take about 10-minute short break. But during the break, I would like us to do a short polling on this. How important is critical thinking? Give me a moment as I launch it. If you can you see the slides? Everybody, can you see this? There's a code here. Okay, there's a code here. Can you see the code?
Yes.
So all of you, please go to this website, www.menti.com. Use this code, and then you'll be able to do your online polling. Okay? All right, I'll return at about 3:05, right, to continue on this workshop. This meantime, please do this poll so that I come back. I can also use this poll to discuss some of the things that I want to talk forward. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We should have about 70 over people participating in this poll. It will be very interesting.
Thank you. It is a very interesting subject. So.
Okay, I'll give you a few more minutes for the rest. So we have about 3/4 of the participants done the survey, the polling. Okay, shall we come back to our next part of the session? You're all okay?
Yes, sure. Please continue.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can just give me a sign, the rest of people, one or two of you. There's so many of you here. Wonderful. Okay. Now you look at the poll, majority of you will have rated it and expected, find that it is very important, extremely important to your work life and your thinking, right? Some say it's somewhat important. Now, for those who say it's not important, I would like to challenge it that to encourage to see it as going forward, it will be very important. And in order to get yourself more promoted, get yourself more growth as you move along with your career or your personal life, we have to make ourselves more critical in our thinking. All right, you help us, to be more responsive to variables, all kinds of subject matters and issues and purposes. Critical thinking can also be incorporated in a family or interwoven in different modes of thinking. All right, it's not just for business. If you look at critical thinking, it's used in scientific, it's used in mathematics, it's used in historical thinking, it's used in anthropological thinking, it's used in economic thinking, it's used in moral thinking, philosophical thinking, and so on and so forth. So critical thinking is absolutely important, and we have to make it even more out there, as something that you have to do as part of your career as you move forward. So I'll stop share this and I'll go back to my slides. Give me a moment. Okay, the concept of thinking and application to leadership. Now here I'm going to go into a little bit more theoretical application context, and maybe I'd like to take this time for maybe 5 minutes or so. If you have any questions that you want to raise, maybe I can take a few questions before I move forward from what I talked just now. You can use the chat or you can speak to me. Is there any questions at this point?
Because
anything else? I'll give you another 1 more minute. If not, I'll continue. So I'll take it there's no question at this point. Okay. All right, I'll continue with the session now. Let's look at the concept of thinking, all right, and the applications within the leadership process. Now, before I go into this, okay, I want you all to very quickly look at this diagram. And I really want you all to look at it and then tell me which letter does not belong. This is interesting, right? Which letter does not belong? A, somebody say A. F.
A.
A, okay.
F.
H. F.
C.
C. Okay, that's good. Okay, C. A, B, C. Maybe C is missing. F. Okay.
E.
E. D or B. Okay, a lot of T, a lot of F. T. Interesting. B. T. 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 Okay. A, okay. Okay, it's a vowel. That's a way to look at it. F. F. Give you one more minute. Let's do this. According to the alphabet, A is the only vowel in this table. That is a very good observation. That's a very good observation. $45 more.
Yeah.
Each of them does not belong to others. Okay. Let's see some of the very interesting answer. 30 seconds, and I'll close the game. $15 seconds, and I'll close the game. B, D, F have the same distance from the previous letter. Wow. That's a very good answer also. Okay, the game stops. Now, it's interesting. I get actually quite a good variations of answer. Of course, some of you, very quickly. Some of you take some time. Some of you give very interesting and say A is a vowel and the rest is not really a vowel. That's a very good observation. Now, I want to ask those who tell me is T. Where is T? You can see a T there? Can those who say is T, please reply on the chat or over the voice why you say is T. Thank you so much, Jenny. Yes, you're right. Actually, the answer I'm looking for is T. T is the letter that does not belong because it's on different font, all right, from the rest of A, B, C, D. All right, and now I'm not saying that those who see T, you are smarter than those who don't see it. All right. Okay, and in fact, this exercise is really not to test about whether it's right or wrong. It's really to test how one person thinks. Right? About how one person thinks. Okay, some people will think and look at it a very long time and figure out, and maybe up to now they don't have an answer. All right, which is fine. You probably are still thinking. Some of you all will then zoom in and straight away look at the A, B, C, D, which is the red letters. They look the same. Some of them will look at A, B, C, D and is it sequencing? A, B, C, D, E, F? So what's happening? All right, and then somebody will maybe look out the square, all right, look at different way of thinking and trying to see what letter does not belong. Maybe some of you may even see 2L, one L here and one inverted L because the square is a 2L joined together and it's a capital letter L. So that also doesn't belong, you know. So where I'm coming at is really that, you know, at the end of the day, all right, we all think very differently. We take different perspective to thinking, and we look at things in a very different world. Yes, it's quite tricky. In a real world situation, we face a lot of things like that. When we look at an issue, we look at a problem. All right, if we don't think deep enough, or we don't dig deep enough, we may come up with an answer that seems right, but it's actually not the right answer. All right, or we may look at a very different perspective. For example, those who say it's a vow, A is a vow, I want to give a crap. That's another way to look at it. All right, so you're thinking beyond many things. So you probably heard words like thinking out of the box, thinking without box, thinking convergent thinking, divergent thinking, creative thinking, and so on and so forth. All right, so I want you all to take this time, all right, as we go along the next sessions, to ask yourself, what kind of thinker are you? What type of thinker are you? Now, we all are very different types of thinker, all right? And of course, in the world of thinking study, there are many, many different versions and so that. So I'll share with you some of the ones that is much more easier to understand and probably is more applicable to our session today. All right, and we want to see, you know, how you can then use your own thinking ability and combine with other thinking ability to make yourself a better thinker. All right. So this exercise is really, as I said, it's not really to say whether you're right or wrong, but it's really to highlight the fact that we as a human being, we think very differently. And the point of start where we think are also very different. All right. So it also illustrates to you that when you're working in a team, you must respect everyone's thinking process. Now, how often, you know, we sometimes make a comment, this person is so stupid. This person don't know how to think. This person don't think well. This person never get the facts right. This person never see the big picture. This person never see the small picture. This person never see this, never see that. You know, so here we are is because even in this very small little quick exercise of less than 2 minutes, all right, we have so many different answers. All right, so many different answers. And I said, not all, here is not a test of whether you're right or wrong, but really in terms of how do you approach thinking, all right, as an exercise perspective. Okay, so thank you so much for your participation. I hope you enjoy this very quick thing. All right, so what type of thinkers are you? Okay, we're going to go into some of the kind of thinkers, and hopefully you can then ask yourself that which one do you fit in, all right, and how should you continue to improve yourself to become a better critical thinker. All right, number one, creative thinkers. All right, these are people who conceive new ideas and creative ideas by thinking outside the box, or they think without the box. So are generally creative people. They're very creative. They like to give ideas. They like to share ideas. Sometimes ideas don't make sense. You know, they just like to imagine. They like to dream. You know, they come up with all kinds of things. You know, so are you that type of people? Are you a creative thinker? Are you someone who can be very creative when you participate? When the boss asks you or someone asks you for a solution or something, you can start thinking, you know, creatively, you know, whether it makes sense or not. All right. So some people like to be creative, so they can come up with all kinds of things, you know, whether it makes sense or not. So we may be the type of thinker. So this is one type of thinker. Ask yourself, do you have such kind of thinking element in you? All right. Second type. All right. Let me see. I have a chat here. Okay. Second type of thinker. All right. What we call analytical thinker. These people, all right, has the ability to separate a whole into its basic parts in order to examine each part's correlation. So they're very analytical. All right, they analyze all the data. For some of you may know those business analysis and all that. They take data, all right, they are able to look at it and how that each one affects each other. So it's very analytical in the process. They can look at spreadsheets, they can look at survey results, they can look at scientific studies, you know, data that comes in, and they are very analytical. They look at correlations between things or data they collected. All right, analytical thinkers. So ask yourself, are you also something like that, an analytical thinker? The next type of thinker is what we call a concrete thinker. Now, this type of people tends to only trust factual information, practical only. Okay, they only believe in what is out there. They only believe what they see, and it's to the point. If you cannot show me, I don't believe, and I cannot make a decision. You got to show me. You got to prove to me. All right. So these are people who are very concrete thinkers. They can only make decisions if they see it physically. Otherwise, they cannot. So they are not creative. All right. They are not thinking out. They just have to see the facts. So some of us, right, has this type of traits in our thinking process. So ask yourself, are you a concrete thinker? Right. The next one is abstract thinker. Now, abstract, well, somebody say abstract is like creative. Well, it's kind of, but this type of people have the ability to relate random things, things that's not connected at all, all right, with each other, and then they can make connections. It's very funny. So one of the people who are known to be very good abstract thinker is actually Steve Jobs, all right, Apple former CEO. All right, so he can look at the computer and then he look at lifestyle, and then he bring computer and lifestyle together and becomes a new Apple brand. You know, it's very abstract, but they're able to see this. All right, they're thinking without the box. That means they really don't look at anything. All right, but they do look at things that is very relevant and come in, right, to think. All right, Penny. Hi, Penny. You have a question? Hi, Penny. Penny?
My mother down because his class come my mother already.
Mother know what you want to do.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so abstract thinker, all right, abstract thinker, all right, are people who can see random things, but they can make these random things connect and come up with something. So these are people who probably are very good inventors, all right? They think without a box, but they can come up with something interesting, all right? They're very abstract in the way we think. All right, the next type is divergent thinker, all right? They look at all kinds of solutions, exploring infinite number of solutions. Here we talk about solutions. That means what is out there that is workable, all right? And then they can bring them together to find one that is effective. All right, so this is divergent thinker. From a lot, they come to one point, all right? The next one, of course, you guessed it, probably is convergent thinker. Okay, combining all kinds of perspective, combine them together, mix and match, come up with one solution. So for many, all right, to one, all right, they combine different perspective, all right, and come up with a single solution. So ask yourself, are you also a convergent thinker? So take a minute and think, or we go through, okay? So are you a creative thinker? Are you an analytical thinker? Are you a concrete thinker? Are you an abstract thinker? Are you a divergent thinker? Or are you a convergent thinker? Now, if you are any one of this, and if a large part of you are any one of this, I will tell you, you are not a critical thinker. Okay? You are not a critical thinker. Okay, I have a question here. Okay, someone asked, can I share some quiz, some trusted quiz that can define the types of thinker? Unfortunately, I don't have that right now. I hope that in future I can create something like that. Okay, second question I had is, it's hard to define since it depends on each student. Absolutely correct. All right, it depends on each situation, but in each situation, many one of us will approach it with our most used two way of approach in thinking. Well, it's like the short example that I did. Right, some of them very fast, they see thinking, they come out. Some of them take some time to think. So we have different perspectives. Those who take a long time to think are more probably analytical thinker. Right, those who very quickly give you something, see something, and then they start giving an answer very fast. All right, a lot of them is just creative. They think that this is the right one, and they come, right? So they just come out. For those who see very clearly and more detailed, they are analytical thinker. Like those who see the T, they saw the T. They analyze it, and that's it. So you're right. Okay, every situation is different, but every one of us do have a major thread, major way. So if I use a lot of creative thinking, all right, then I'm just a creative thinker, all right? And I'll explain to you why, all right? Because each of us, when we are in this major role, okay, we will function very well in the kind of jobs that we chose. Okay, but here we are talking about transformation leader, which means that we are talking about leader of leader. You can be a leader as a creative thinker, all right, when, for example, you are a great artist. You're an artist, you draw, like Picasso or the very famous artist, you draw and draw and draw, and you're very good at it. So you're just a creative thinker, right? But you may not be able to lead other artists, or you may not be able to transform more beyond, all right, of your own area of work. So you require a lot more things, all right? So this is what I'm trying to say here, is that each of us will fall under one of these major categories. Because some of us may have mixed. We may be a creative and abstract, maybe 80% here, or sometimes we may have everything. Some of us may have everything, but in little percentage here and there. All right. So I hope I answered that question. Okay. All right. So we're asking ourselves, a critical thinker, therefore, is actually a combination of all these thinkers. Okay, but is it enough? So that's what I'm trying to say here. Right? So if you want to be a critical thinker, you have to apply all or at least some of these in combination. All right? Because you cannot solve a problem by just being creative or come up with a solution by just being analytical. All right, you cannot. All right, so you have to use most of these main thinking skills, all right, towards a critical thinking. Right? Because most of these individual skills will come up with only one way of thinking. All right. But in the real world, transformation leadership, the word is transformation. You cannot just use one thing. You have to use many other things, other thinking way, in order to make your transformation greater. All right. But of course, you ask me, but I cannot how? I can't do that. Stay tuned, I'll tell you how. All right, but what I'm driving at is that as a critical thinker, all right, you need to explore all these thinking skills to help you to be a better thinker. And in our context, critical thinking. All right, so it's really a very aspect of thinking that helps you to think in a very organized and rational manner. Critical thinking is not just creative, it is something that you need to be organized, and you also need to be very rational. You need to also answer the connection between things. All right, you also need to believe in things. All right, you need to do what we call thinking about thinking. This is a challenge for a lot of people. That's why in the early session, I say that not everybody can be transformational leader. You can be leader in your area of your good work. But if you want to be a transformation leader, yes, it's challenging, correct. I have a chat here. Someone said, Kim said, Pheng here said that it's very challenging. Yes, it is very challenging. But this is transformation leader. If you want to be a transformation leader, you've got to work towards deep critical thinking process. All right. So yes, it's about thinking, identifying, analyzing. You got to fix the things, the flaw. Creative thinking doesn't work if you use analytical thinking coming in. Analytical thinking doesn't work, I will use abstract thinking. Abstract thinking doesn't work, I need to look at divergent, convergent thinking. I need to mix, I need to think. I need to spend time using all these skills all right, so that I can come out with the best solutions possible, all right, and it create transformation ideas, create transformation leadership that people look at it and say, wow, you are the leader of the century. You are the leader of this industry. You are the leader of this wonderful concept. You know, you are the one because you are transformational. Okay, all right. So let's move on. So what else? Okay. Now, if you want to look at critical thinking, then I say that, you know, creative thinkers has a higher chance of moving in that route because creative thinkers is thinking. At least he can think, you know, all kinds of ideas. So if anything, I would like to ask many of us here to try to be more creative and dare to express our idea even more. All right, don't look at yourself in a limited way. Don't look at yourself in a myopic way. Be daring to share ideas, even, you know, it's not concrete, because when sharing of ideas, that is where people contribute, people participate. Remember, before you are a transformation leader, you need to be participative, you need to be situational leader first. All right. So if you are not someone who dare to share a lot of ideas and come up with all kinds of things, you know, to be able to put on the table for discussion, then your road to become a critical thinker is become harder. So if anything else, all right, you know, we want to be a bit more creative in the way we think. All right. So, but creativity and innovation, all right, actually there is some key differentiation. So what is creative thinking? And then what is innovative thinking? So is creative thinking also innovative thinking? Anybody would like to comment? Do you think creative thinking and innovative thinking are the same thing? So what's creative thinking? So what's innovative thinking? Creative thinking is a part of innovative thinking. Very good. Okay.
I think critical thinking is mean that we think about something new, some new ideas, whatever. But innovative thinking, also creative thinking, but it's based on the improvements or on the solving problems. Okay,
very good. It's about solving problems. It's about creating solutions. Yes. Okay. Okay, here I have, various track. This is a kind of upgrade or versions of creative thinking. Innovative thinking is based on existing conditions. Innovative thinking is, let me see, very good. Creating is part of innovative thinking. Innovative thinking is for revolution, okay. Innovation thinking is based on existing condition. Innovative thinking is kind of an upgrade version. Innovative thinking make improvements. Okay, very good. Because most of you, some of you here response will probably have some kind of ideas, is it? But let me share. All right. Now, creative thinking and innovative thinking is all about, of course, both of them is expression of new ideas. All right. It serves that purpose. Creative thinking, innovative thinking is expression of new ideas. So if you are not someone who dare to express all kinds of ideas, then basically you're not creative, not able to move into innovative. So number one, we need to be able to share ideas, right or wrong. Okay. Now, in common, creative thinking and innovative thinking involve thinking outside the box and thinking without the box. Okay, it involves both area or context. All right. Okay. So again, it's really daring to think beyond what you see. Okay. Creative thinking create unique opportunities with your ideas. Of course, when I talk about that, create unique opportunities is things that is a bit more concrete in the idea. So it creates opportunities, but innovative thinking, uniqueness has realized value for growth. That means your uniqueness can turn to reality. It's unique. And it can cause something to grow better. It can cause your business to be better. It can cause yourself to improve better. There is a tangible or intangible benefits out of the creative ideas or the ideas that you share. Okay. Creative thinking, imagine new possibilities beyond the norm. Yes, you create. Why must we follow everyone? We were going to do new things. This is idea. A lot of this new age business, like Grab, like all kinds of ideas of this TikTok and all these companies. They come up with very unique things. All right, but they have to be able to be executed. It must lead to something in reality. Then it's become innovative. Otherwise, creative thinking, your things will just only be an idea. An idea is just an idea. All right. If the idea is not turned into reality, then it's not innovative enough. All right. And finally, all right, as I said, it remains as an idea in creative thinking, whereas it causes disruptions to the markets. It causes changes. It causes people to look at things differently. It causes people to buy things differently. Or it causes people to have a new market penetration, new positioning, and so on and so forth, with the objective of growth. Okay, with the objective of improving lives. It's the objective of improving your own world. All right. So that's a clear difference between creative thinking and innovative thinking. So in the business world, we want to be more innovative and not just being creative. But yes, we have to say that creative thinking is part of innovative thinking. Yeah, okay. And yes, both of them impacts life, impact changes to our life and our organizations, as one of you have chatted, all right, in the box. Okay, so let's move forward, okay? So what other type of thinkers? We want to look at. There are many things. So innovative thinker, all right, this is the one I'm going to add into it. So not just creative thinker, you need to add in yourself the innovative thinker. So creative problem solver who thinks on the purpose and holistically to make their world better and the world a better place. So these are innovative thinkers. Okay, so they are the ultimate of thinkers. Okay, ultimate of thinkers. Okay. Therefore, critical thinking is all this plus innovative thinker. So you want to be a transformation leader, you go back that you not only need to be a creative, analytical, concrete, abstract, divergent, convergent, right? You also need to be innovative in the way you think. It's difficult, as I said, and it's challenging, but it's doable because in the world, we have seen transformation leaders. And most of these transformation leaders, right, have all these combinations of thinking skills, right? Either through their own development or through the ability for them to manage people that they can tap on their thinking skills to enhance their transformation thinking skills. So this is the trick here. So as a leader, number one, a leader is what? You can lead people. That's number one. Number two, you can make use of people, delegate, right? You know how to manage the people, you know how to use talent within your group. Now, this is where you pull, right, your participation leadership in, add into your critical thinking process to be a critical thinker so that it becomes transformational, all right? So critical thinkers explore other elements that could have impacted conclusions, all right, to come up with a solution, okay, workable solution, all right. Hopefully it becomes, okay. So this is where I want to kind of share in a big picture that critical thinkers has to have all this communication of thinking skills, right? But if you don't have, doesn't matter, all right. You can always see how you can use talent that you have in your team to value add, to take the information from these people and make you an innovative thinker and becomes a critical thinker. All right, so this is something that allows us to improve our thinking skills. All right, now because critical thinker need to do something, it's called objective. Now, if you are thinking and use subjective, then you're going to come out with something very bad at the end of the day. So thinkers at the end of the day need to be very objective, and objectiveness is a fundamental part of critical thinking. Right, that means that you need to analyze a problem, all right, without allowing personal bias, emotions, assumptions, or influence how you think. All right. So if that's the case, then you need to be analytical. You need to be concrete because you need proof. All right. At the same time, you need to be creative because you need to solve problems. At the same time, you need to find a solution. So you need to be a divergent thinker or a convergent thinker. All right. And sometimes you don't have a solution. So you need to be abstract and you start thinking outside the box or think without the box. All right. So you need all this combination. All right. So a strong critical thinker will only analyze the problem based on the context of facts collected and after conducting true and impartial understanding and research of the situation. All right. So it's a hard process. It's a tough process to be a transformation leader, but it is doable. All right. You have to put in the effort. It's doable. Okay. Now, earlier I said, then how do you then consider, okay, I've done it. All right, I'm a critical thinker now. How do you justify that you have achieved to become a critical thinker? Okay, all right. Let's look at this. Okay, before we go into it, let's do a big definition here. And I think this is one of the best definitions I ever came across. It's by the critical thinking, as defined by National Council of Excellence in Critical Thinking. So there is a National Council of Excellence in Critical Thinking based in the US. So this is a quote in a citation in 1987. It says that critical thinking is the intellectually disciplined. So it's a disciplined process, right, of actively and skillfully conceptualizing. It's a concept. Applying, not only just a concept, it needs to be applied. All right, analyzing, synthesizing, and or evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflections, reasoning, or communications as a guide to belief and action. So there must be an action, there must be a belief in what you see. Okay, in its explanatory form, it is based on universal intellectual values. That means it is not something new. It's based on what everybody thinks is a value, or the right value, right moral value, right way to move forward. That transcends subject matter divisions across all kinds of subjects, okay? But involve clarity, accuracy, precision, consistency, relevancy, sound evidence, good reasonings, depth, breadth, and fairness. Wow, this is critical thinking. All right. So I said, it is not easy to be a critical thinker, but it is doable. If you want to be transformational, it is doable. All right. Any question at this point? You have any questions? If anybody want to take some questions here, let me see. Somebody said too complicated. It's true. It is very complicated. All right, but it is a practice. Critical thinking is really not something you can learn. But it's a practice that you must put yourself into it. Okay, yourself into it. All right. Yes, there is a more easier version. I'll come to you after that. I will synthesize it into a more easier way to understand and to apply. Don't worry about it. All right, you'll do that. So all at this point, I would like to highlight to you that as a critical thinker, you need to be the above all kinds of thinking skills: creative, analytical, concrete, divergent, conversion, abstract. All right. So these are the skills that you need to explore. All right. But ultimately, all right, it's really about how do you gather all this ability, right, within yourself, and it has to be practiced, it has to be learned, it has to be done. Okay, nothing is easy. Remember, we're talking about transformation leadership. You are going to transform, from a caterpillar to a butterfly. All right, so it's not simple. You're not going to stay as a caterpillar. You want to be a butterfly, a beautiful butterfly. So you want to transform, you have to put in your hard work. No choice. So once again, I said, not everybody can be a transformation leader, but you can work towards more transformational as a leader yourself. Okay. All right. Actually, it's not difficult to apply. All right. I'm going to move forward. So this is a 5 principles of critical thinking. You just make sure that whatever you come out or solution come out meet these 5 principles. Okay? Authenticity means that it must be real. It is not guesswork. It's authentic. The situation is real. That is the situation. This is the fact. Okay? So you have to be authentic and you have evidence that support that process. All right. Number 2, whatever you take as evidence, it needs to be accurate as possible. Accuracy is the second principle. All right. Accuracy. All right. So you need to be as accurate as you can. All right. Okay. A good example I always said, I mean, as a good example we can take is our COVID-19, right? Okay. Why is Pfizer and Moderna injection is accepted by more people than other vaccines? All right, because there's proof, or whoever has put in that research and idea and solutions, and definitely involve a lot of critical thinking process within just less than a year or so to come up with a vaccine. All right, it must be able to be authentic. It must be able to kill the virus. All right, it has to be proven to it. It has to be as accurate as possible. All right, third principle is it must be worth. You must worth to do it, and whatever you do it will translate to something that is positive. All right, that will help the situation, or at least reduce the pain or problem of the situation. It must be worth to do it. Number 3 is valid. Whatever solution you come out is valid. All right, it is something that it can be done. It's validated, and of course, finally, the solution must have the value. Okay, so I make it very easy. You want to be a critical thinker, whatever you come out with must meet these 5 principles: authenticity, accuracy, worth, validity, and value. All right, then you can say that you probably have done your critical thinking, all right, into what you're about to come up with as a solution.
Can you explain more about the validity point here?
Okay, validity means that, people who, when you have the solution comes out, okay, when the solution comes out, that it can be tested, that it works. So there must be the ability to test, so that it's valid for the situation, and whatever you come out can solve the problem and not divert from a problem. So that is what you mean by valid. It's different from reliability. Reliability means that solutions, once you apply, it will work all the time. So it becomes reliable. Okay, but this is valid. That means the solutions come out is valid. All right, they can solve that problem. At least address that problem. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I missed some explanation about the third and the fifth one. Is worth and value. So what's different? Okay.
Worth means that it's worth to do it. It means if I come out with this solution, okay, it will give the it will give the solutions worth the effort to actually want to work on it. That means you know that you're critical, you want to act on this, you know that I want to do this, the effort is worth it. So that is what it means. It's worth to execute. It's worth to invest into it. Because it has value. I mean, it can give you a value. Do you get my explanation?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about the value?
Okay. It's worth to do it because it has value. So you must determine if there's a value. All right. So all these 5 must come together. You understand?
Okay. Got it.
So you must have, So you must have authenticity, you must take accuracy, you must take worth, you must take validity, you must take value, you must take. So these are all interconnected. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have some question in the chat. Yeah, it's worth doing it not. Yeah, correct. Okay, all right. Okay, let's continue.
Yes, please.
Okay, so as we said, we need all this to become critical thinking. And creative thinking, analytic thinking, concrete thinking, abstract thinking, divergent thinking, convergent thinking, innovative thinking. These are all part and parcel of what we need, what we call critical thinking skills. All right. Now, transformation leader. The sum of all this, actually the conclusion is you need to be an entrepreneurial thinker. This is what makes you a transformation leader. Now, the new word here is entrepreneurial thinkers. All right. This is what the world is looking for as a transformation leader. When you are transformational, you are entrepreneurial. And entrepreneurial, as we all know, by definition of entrepreneurship or entrepreneur, is to create new things for the value of people. Is to create new things, workable things. You dare to do. All right. So this is what the world is lack of. All right. Where we want transformation leader, but we want transformation leader that are also entrepreneurial thinkers. All right. So if you can do all this, which means you are a critical thinker on the foundation of it, at the end of it, okay, at the end of it, okay, you are creating an entrepreneurial thinker yourself. So this is a very important aspect that we need to know. How critical thinking is so important that leads to this concept. All right. All entrepreneurs, all successful entrepreneurs, they are critical thinkers. That is why they're entrepreneurs. That's why they dare to start a business. Not many of us dare to start a business. I remember when I started my first business, it was so scary. All right. You leave a job. My first business, I was working for multinationals, few thousand Singapore dollars a month. Suddenly, I want to start my own business. It's a big fear. All right. But I can tell you, when I start my business, all right, we think a lot. Of course, back then, 20, 30 years back then, I don't recall about all this concept. I've never read about all this concept. But if I now sit down and think about it, when the period of me being a businessman, all right, I have to use a lot of thinking. I can't stop thinking. The bosses cannot stop thinking. The moment the bosses, the owners stop thinking, the business don't grow anymore. And there are many good examples in this world. Many good examples in this world because the entrepreneur, the founder, all right, or the business leader of the business don't think anymore. They think they are successful. They continue to be successful. Right, you will continue to move forward. In today's newspaper, I read that, in Korea, if you're in Korea, the chaebols or Samsung, LG actually controls the economy of Korea. But today, I read the paper that the richest man in Korea is only 30 plus now, and it's not a chaebol from organization. He's a new startup. He's a young man. So you can see the world of transformation leaders, entrepreneurial thinkers, that they think beyond traditional business. They think beyond many things. Now, if they don't think, number one, they cannot be transformational. That's number one. Okay? All right? They cannot be transformational. And we already, at this point of time, know that to be a critical thinker, right, we need to be all of this. Agree? Now, if you are all of this and you're a critical thinker, then I would say that you have moved into the next realm of thinkers, which I love to pitch all the time to my students. You need to be more entrepreneurial because that is what business wants in their staff. Skills can be learned, knowledge can be acquired, but thinking is an attitude. Thinking, you really cannot learn thinking. No, I mean, it's a concept. What I'm trying to tell you is a concept. It's psychological. Thinking and cognitive is a psychological thing that we have. All right, but you must remember that whatever skill that we learned, whatever thing that we learned, biologically is driven by your brain. So if you're not using your brain, you can't learn any skills or you can't learn any knowledge. So why are we not able to be better thinkers? Because it's given to us. It's actually in us. So yes, it's challenging. Why is it challenging? Because we don't exercise our brain. We exercise our muscle. We go to gym. You know, some of us don't like to go to gym because it's very tiring. Oh, I like to eat. I don't want to exercise. We all love that. But some of us who are fit and go to gym, blah, 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 you know, we are exercising. Our muscle get bigger, we get stronger. But we are not exercising our brain. That is what I'm trying to come in here. But to those transformation leaders who exercise their brain, but not only using creative thinking skills, analytical thinking skills, concrete thinking skills, abstract thinking skills, divergent thinking skills, cognitive thinking skills, and innovative thinking skills, they actually exercise their brain. And when they do that, the ultimate aim is to become more transformational, they think more, and they become entrepreneurial more. Because they dare to be more entrepreneurial. Why? Because they critical think. They are objective about their decisions. They dare to take the next step. Even it's risky, they already critical think enough to say, and it's worth for me to do it. All right? It's worth for me to do it because at the end of it, there's a lot of value to what I'm doing. All right? So I hope you get the point I'm trying to bring across. Don't be frightened. All right? Don't be frightened, you know, by saying it's challenging. It's not. It's not challenging because humans are born to think. You know, I always share this in my class. And I say, how does animal learn? How does animal learn? Anybody want to tell me? They want to share how does animal learn? How does a monkey learn to eat the bananas?
Try and error.
Okay, between the animal and human being, let's take the monkey. The monkey is monkey or chimpanzee or gorilla. They are closest to human. All right. Animals learn by seeing and copying and repeating it. So when a small monkey see the mama monkey peeling the bananas, they will learn to peel the bananas. They see and do. They don't really think. They see and do. Human don't. Human look at the banana, all right? They make banana cakes. They make fried bananas. They make banana milk. You know, why? Because we are human. We think. From one banana, we can make so many things. But a monkey will only eat the banana. Correct? So when I tell my students, I say, when you do your homework and you do your research, don't copy and paste. Because you copy and paste, you are all monkeys. Okay? So what makes us different is this. You must copy and paste. Now, copy and paste is not wrong. Huh? Copy and paste, but when you paste, you improve. You critical think. You put in things that's different from the original copy and paste. You make it more value. You make it more interesting to read. You make it more factual. You make it more valid. You make it more reliable. You are a human being and you will score higher results. Agree? The world are full of copy and paste and improve. Look at all the products in the world. We all copy, paste, and improve. The good products. All right. Apple is no new. Apple is copy and paste the computer. But it add in lifestyle. And today it becomes a brand, a consumer brand. Apple is not even a phone, right? We don't know that. All right. Electric cars. It's a car and a battery. So is there anything new? No. It's just replace the petrol with a battery. But it's the in thing now, electric cars. All right, Grab is nothing new. No, it's not nothing new. All right, Grab is nothing new. Is Gojek nothing new? No. All right, so many things in this world are not true invention, but people copy and paste and add value. And that is where we call entrepreneurial thinking. And only transformational leaders who are able to use all these skills in whatever way or form, all right, to help them to transform. This is what I'm going after, okay? So I hope I bring the point across at this point of time, okay? I'm trying to get back to my mouse. Okay. So you are an entrepreneur thinker. If you are some of this, all right, you dare to raise critical and vital questions and problems, no matter how unpopular. You challenge norms. You challenge thinking. All right. Takes effort to gather and assess relevant information and data. You don't just look at surface, the spreadsheet, the reports that your boss, your staff give you. You look at it and seek to understand it better. All right. Be able to formulate questions and problems clearly and precisely. Ask questions that make sense. Ask questions that leads to solving problems. Right. Able to use abstract ideas to interpret information and data effectively. All right. Think out of the box, think beyond the box, be abstract thinker, be divergent thinker, think different ways. These are all skills, all right? Maintain an open mind within alternative systems of thought and options available. Don't just look at one way of doing things. You know, many things in the business philosophy or the management world is no right or wrong. Is dictatorship wrong? In certain contexts, it's good. Top-down leadership, absolutely. You cannot say no. In certain situations, it's important. For example, COVID. You cannot get out of your house. Just follow the rules because it's very strong, it's very dictatorship, but that is the right decision. All right. So not a lot of management philosophy, there's no right or wrong. It's how do you apply it? How do you use it in a critical way? And in my context, an entrepreneurial way. Recognize and assess assumptions, implications, and consequences. All right. So there's a lot of thinking to be done. You think and think. Now, being great leaders and successful business in this world, you know, they spend a lot of effort thinking and making true decisions critically. No successful business people or organizations will sit down there and just look at a surface and say, this is the way to go. They have to have deep thoughts and people helping them to create those thoughts so they can use it, right, to make decisions. Develop well-reasoned conclusions, options, and solutions and testing them against relevant processes, criteria, and standards. Okay, validation. Validation, right? And finally, you must be able to communicate, collaborate effectively with others in figuring out solutions to complex problems. Transformation leader, critical thinking, entrepreneurial thinkers don't work alone. If they work alone, they cannot be entrepreneurial, right? You can only be a boss if there are people willing to report to you. If no one in the world wants to report to you, all right, you're working for yourself. I don't call that an entrepreneur. I call that a job. Okay, if only people willing to help you and grow with you, because you alone cannot grow a business too big. All right, even in today's internet world, yes, you can be an online e-commerce successful entrepreneur. You have an online store yourself, but you don't forget, behind all the solutions, behind all the support, behind all logistics, you still have to work with other people. Okay, so there's no such thing as you work alone to become successful. You work with people. That is why we are in this world. We are human beings. All right, we are not monkeys. But even monkeys work with monkeys, right, to be successful. Okay. Okay. So at this concept, I want to stress across that if you are not entrepreneurial thinkers or at least critical thinkers, all right, it's very difficult for you to move up the ladder to be in the C-suites. You know what is C-suites, right? CEO, CFO, CTO, the higher management level. Because you're not critical thinking enough, you cannot function at that level, especially in today's world. If you just want to be a sales director, all all right, and only want to close sales, and all you do is close sales, close sales. You don't care. You don't care whether operation can fulfill or not. You don't care, whether customer happiness or not. You're not going to be very successful to be able to run a business. You will just be a very good sales director. If you are a finance accountant, accounts director, you only care about balancing your books, debit, credit. You only care about that. And you don't want to care about anything of the organization. Then you only can be a good financial director. But you want to be a C-suite, you want to be a chief of the chief, then it's a different story altogether. You had to critical think. All right. I always tell people, if you want to get promoted, if you want to be recognized, all right, in any job, it's very easy. You just need to do only two things. First, you bring in money for the company. If you can bring in money for the company company will love you, right? They'll promote you. They'll give you all you want. If you can bring in a lot of money for the company. The second thing you need to do is, if you cannot bring in the money, then you save money for the company. You can save a lot of money for the company will also love you. All right. So you cannot be a frontline. You are not a frontline person to be able to bring in a lot of revenue. All right. Then you become operational, which is the back end. And at the back end, you save a lot of money for the company also love you. Right. However, if you want to be a C-suite, you want to lead, you want to run the organization, you want to transform the organization, you want to make the organization bigger, you have to earn money and save money at the same time. You got to balance it, earn money, save money, earn money, save money, earn money, save money. Then you are a management material. You are a C-level material. Otherwise, the most you can reach is the departmental director, the head of the department. You will never become a CEO, CFO, CEO, CTO, and all that, because today's C-level has to be strategic thinker, critical thinker, transformation thinker, entrepreneurial thinker. They have to save money and earn money at the same time, balancing it and growing the organization. All right. So having said that, okay, fundamental of a good decision team is, of course, you must have a choice of correct leadership. Okay. You must have set precise outcome. What you want to achieve, what is the value that you want to achieve, how you want to go ahead and achieve those values or business objective and KPIs. Right, you're looking at clear set of targets. It must be achievable. You've got to set achievable targets. All right, that makes sense. That's reasonable. Because if you set unreasonable targets, people will not work towards it. They'll give up because they know it's a moving goalpost all the time. All right. Sense of urgency is extremely important in today's world. Speed. The speed of doing things. All right. Take things quick and information faster. And it will get faster because technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and many, many things is coming now. It's hammering at our face today. So we will have data faster and quicker, which will allow us to make decisions faster and quicker too. All right. Skills and knowledge, master skills and knowledge. It's not just skills and knowledge, it's mastering. If you're good at what you're doing, you need to be super good at what you're doing and more. All right. Communications. We need to start talking more and communicate each other more and understand each other more within the diversity of who we are. All right. We talk to many business people. People say, oh, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like China. I don't like USA. I don't like Australia. I don't like this. I don't like that. At the end of the day, it's tough because the world is too connected. Social media digitalization has connected all of us. And a lot of us are being implicated by various forces around the world. We can't escape. More so, internally in the organization, if you don't communicate, you can't share ideas. And with no ideas, with no information, how can you critical think? Impossible. All right? Right. Making informed decisions. All right? Critical thinking, evidence of critical thinking is really to help you to make decisions. All right? And finally, teamwork is critical. All right. Select a right mix and balance of people who are prepared to work together for common goals, tapping on each other's diverse thinking skills. Okay, here I'm answering some of the questions that the participants are asking. It's so challenging, so difficult. It's not. Because transformation leader will try to acquire as many thinking skills as possible. Whichever thinking skills that he or she is very difficult to acquire, then he or she has to tap it from his team or her team. Because that is what teamwork is all about. It's the talent that we are looking at today. Or today, organizations don't talk about human resource management anymore. Today, organization talks about capital, assets, and talent management. So if John has a great talent in creative thinking, I will tap on John's creative thinking to help me to be more critical thinker. I'll tap on John to generate more ideas. I also generate more ideas as creative thinker. So we have two persons generate more ideas, but John will give me a lot more ideas. So I can tap on John's creative thinking. So it's a diverse thinking skills that we can tap from our team. So if you're a transformation leader, you want to be more critical thinking and you find it very difficult, you have to identify people that can be part of your team. So this is how you solve the solution. All right. Okay. Any question at this point? Do you have any questions? No, I'll move ahead. Okay. All right. So I'm nearing to the end of the workshop. So if you have any questions, do think through. Now, I'm just going to share my own principles of leadership. All right. The same principle of my leadership. Okay. My concept is upright. Okay. Being a leadership, I need to be upright. Okay. Leadership by example. Number one, upfront about my weakness. Okay, I know where I'm good at and I know what I'm lacking. And I will constantly try to figure that out. Okay. My key weakness, if I may share with this audience today, is that you may not realize that I have a reading problem. I'm a dyslexic. That means that certain things, certain spellings, certain words in the English words, right, I will read it differently. I spell wrongly sometimes. It's not because it's inborn. So I have a reading problem. So every time I need to write something, I need to write a PowerPoint slide, or I need to write an important email and all that, I must read and read and read, sometimes 10 times or more. Okay. And fortunately, I'm in education. So I sometimes will ask my English teacher to vet my paper. And I tell all my staff, I have this problem. Number one, I recognize my weakness. I'm not going to let people laugh at my weakness. I address my weakness as a leader. So it's important to ask yourself, and you need to not be shy about your weakness, because by telling people your weakness, you are letting out there, and people cannot use your weakness against you because you acknowledge your weakness. But important thing here is you need to help yourself to improve or solve your weakness, whichever can help you. Number two, everything I do, I want to be productive, means I need to be quick, fast, effective, but also effective. I drive towards that, because you can be very productive, but at the end of it, you may not be effective. You know, it's like a lot of salespeople, they may go cold call, they call 100 people a day, all right, and then they tell their boss, I work very hard, I call 100 people a day. Wow, but no sales. So you're not effective. You're productive, but you're not effective. So it's important to be both productive and effective, all right? As a leader, I try to reward and give credit to those who deserve the credit. That means you don't take credit from your staff, because the idea is not yours, all right? So you always acknowledge people. And that helps you to bring teamwork and helps you to bring people who are willing to contribute more solutions and more ideas, which help me to think more critically, all right, and to more entrepreneurial in this context. I take full responsibility for my mistakes. As a leader, you have to do that because you make the ultimate decisions. I've seen too many leaders, when things go wrong, they find a scapegoat, even though they are the one making the final decisions. So to me, that's a no-no, all right? Grounded knowledge and upskilling. In the area that I am working, I will acquire as much as possible my competency within the knowledge of the area that I'm specializing in, and continue to upskill in this context. That's the reason why I'm still studying, or I'm still taking courses, all right? And I've taken a one-year course on adult and education, all right, diploma, although I have a master's degree, all right? So yes, you continue need to learn and upskill yourself. Hands-on and roll up your sleeve. Doesn't mean you are the boss, you don't go to the floor to work. You have to go sometimes to the floor to work, because this shows that you understand the business. This shows that you understand the issues at the front end or the ground level. All right? So be prepared to put yourself in a situation of your staff that you're managing, or the situation that your organizations may not require you to do, but you may have to roll up your sleeve sometimes to help out. And finally, your decision is totally objective. That means it's based on evidence, it's based on the 5 aspects of what I was thinking. It has to be authentic, all right? It has to be worthy, it has to be value, all right? It has to be valid, all right? So these are some of the things that I try, right, as a principle. That's my leadership philosophy for myself. Okay, you may create your own, but that's how I developed it in my context. All right. Okay. Right. I would like to share some of the quotes again as I move towards the end of the session. All right. Some of the quotes that I thought is worth to share here while I'm ending the sessions is: a leader must lead. He cannot follow. If you're following opinion polls, straw polls, and you are doing what you believe the public wants, even when you know it's wrong, then you are not a leader. Success will be ephemeral, temporary, transient. Okay, this is by one of our very respected former Prime Minister, Lee Kuan Yew, the late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore. Peter Drucker, again, whenever you see a successful business, someone wants to make a courageous decision. Okay. No successful winners is people who sit down there and do not make decisions. They have to make some decisions. All right. Albert Einstein, all right. No problem can be solved by the same conscientiousness that created it. We need to see the world anew. All right. We need to renew ourselves, think outside of what the world is, or come up with new ideas and new solutions. Nelson Mandela, South African politician activist. May your choice reflect your hopes, not your fear. All right. So whatever decisions you are achieving, there's a value, and it's about doing better. Okay. And finally, Joe Biden, the current US president. Life is a matter of really tough choices. All right. Which is true. So we need to make choice. And if we are making choices and we have to make those choices, then you put in effort to think more, critical thinking more, your choice, your solutions will be better. And it's more successful in the long run, all right, than to just go through whatever you felt that, will work. Yes, okay, I had a comment here. I think as a leader, I should take full responsibility for not only my mistake, but also my teammates' mistake. That's true. That's what I meant. All right, that's what I meant, that you need to be responsible. If you are the leader, you need to be responsible for any mistakes that you make. Thank you so much for sharing that context. Yes. All right. So you are leading team. Correct. All right. So someone say, as transformation leader, all right, you need to allow people to make mistakes. That is actually a very good observation. All right. Thank you so much, Ivan, for sharing that. Yes. So as a leader, you must accept failure. And if you accept failure, you must learn from the failure. Yeah, take failure because you need to support your team, and you need to show support to your boss that you are supporting your team. So then you will get a lot of people willing to help you and look towards you as a leader. Thank you so much, Ivan. Okay. Okay, finally, all right. I want to end this with just these 3 questions that I hope you can probably do a screenshot or something. Think back, right? Look at your organization, or maybe even look at yourself. These 3 questions. What should your organization, you should start doing to solve problem issue? What should your organization or you should continue to do that is good? What should your organization or you should stop doing that you think is not worthwhile to do or no value to do? All right. So we don't have time to go through all this, but do take it back. Hopefully, after these sessions, you can sit down and think through using these questions. You'll be surprised how difficult it is to answer these 3 questions. All right. But at least I hope that it starts you to think more critically about whatever situation or problem that is currently you want to think about, right, at this point of time. Thank you. All right, and my own last quote, critical thinking skills are necessary for us to accept the flaws in our reasoning and gaps in our knowledge and take advantage of them. All right, so thank you so much for allowing me this about 2.5 hours of time to share with you about critical thinking within the transformation leadership round. Right, so we have some time to take some questions. Do you have any question at this point of time?
Oh yeah, I'm looking for some books for critical thinking and leadership. So could you give us some recommendations?
I have shared one on the chat. It's by, let me see. I'll send an email to VMP and they can share with you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very much. I think that today's section is really beneficial to us. Although the time is limited, and a lot of information, but a lot of things that we could learn. And thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you so much for being a good listener. And I try my best. I prefer face-to-face. I can do more things with the things, but in a Zoom environment, we have to adapt, and I try to make it as interesting as possible. I have a lot of things to share, but it's very difficult to do it in a short time like that.
That's still very great. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. Do you have any other questions for the rest of the participants? Courses, okay. I have a few questions here. Can you hear more about 6 hands-on, able to roll? Okay, able to roll up your sleeve. Okay, what does it mean is that, you know, as a leader, okay, somebody asked me about, let me move back my slides. Somebody asked me about, okay, somebody asked me about hands-on, able to roll up. So what it means is that although you may be the CEO of example, CEO of Highland Coffee, but because you're short of manpower, you also go down and help to serve coffee. So you are prepared to work together with your staff. That's what it means. I have answered your question. Okay, someone asked about tests. I do have, but I'll do it more in the actual training process, which I can, in those points, I will able to do the test. But I'm sure if you do search online or so, you probably can find some free tests online. It helps you to determine what kind of thinking, critical thinking you are. Actually, this critical thinking and thinking is something quite new. So there's not a lot of development in terms of how we can determine all kinds of thinking. But currently we have like personality tests and things like that, which you can actually go online and see if it helps you to do some testing of what kind of thinker you are. Yeah. Courses of critical thinking, I'm doing right now here, but I don't know in Vietnam. Maybe VMP can highlight if they have other courses on critical thinking in Vietnam. Is there any other questions? No problem. I'm glad to share what I can share today within this short time for everyone. I hope we can be a bit more interactive. I know online is actually quite difficult for everybody to participate actively and all that. But I'm glad that you have you have chat with me, and some of you have actually spoken to me over the Zoom. And I think it's very interesting. It's going very well. Better than what I expected as conducting this training. Thank you so much for being part of the team. Okay, so thank you so much. I guess it's about 4:30, and I think it's about the end of the day, and everybody is quite tired. I want to again thank you first VMP Academy for inviting me for this sharing sessions and these training sessions, and I hope that these whole sessions has helped some of you to look at critical thinking in a very different way, and hopefully we can meet again in the future. Maybe you can look out for our course, online course that I'll be conducting on transformation leadership, and do look out with VMP, which will be sharing on their websites and social media. And with this, I would like to thank VMP again, once again, for organizing this, and every one of you to take time to participate in this workshop. And I enjoyed it. Thank you so much, and hopefully I see you all again. Bye.
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 Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and goodbye.
Thank you. Have a good weekend. Bye bye.
Thank you. You too. Have a good weekend.
Stay safe, everybody.
Stay safe, everybody. Yes, it's important.
Stay safe.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much.
Cảm ơn, everybody. Cảm ơn.
Cảm ơn.
Thank you. Thank you, Billy, for everything.
Yeah, thank you. I will send you we will have another day so that we can discuss further. Okay.
Sure. I'll also send you what we talk about in terms of the MBA program and all that.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a nice day.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.